Welcome to the FeelWell Podcast, where leadership is lived through the integration of mind, body, and business. I'm Dr. Lauren DeCicco, and today I'm joined by Trey Mourning, former professional basketball player, founder of Coach Comma, and someone who brings a really unique perspective to athlete development. Trey grew up inside the NBA with his father playing 16 seasons and his own early experiences, including working as a ball boy for the Miami Heat. He went on to play at Georgetown, where he was team captain and four-time academic All-American, before continuing his career professionally. What I appreciate about Trey's work now is how he shifted the focus beyond just performance, really looking at the mental, emotional, and family dynamics that shape an athlete's long-term success. Through Coach Comma, he's helping families build a more sustainable and aligned path in sports. So I'm really excited to dive into this conversation with you. So welcome.
Likewise. No, thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So you've had a really unique journey. You grew up inside of the NBA. You've played really high level. You're coaching essentially right now.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you feel shaped your perspective the most along the way?
Yeah, I think for me, I'm really big on working smart instead of just working hard. And I know within the youth basketball space, there's a big push on more games, more training. But from what I've seen, it's the players who could do the most with the least amount of work who can get the farthest. And it's really about knowing what to work on rather than just going in the gym and getting shots up. So I'm a big believer that everybody has to have a plan. And most parents are flying blind. You know, they have the resources to be able to invest, or they're breaking an arm and a leg in order to provide for their player and support them in their career and what it is that they want to achieve. They just don't know what they're doing, so they're shooting in the dark. Mm-hmm. And it's like their tires are spinning in the mud. And what we do at Coach Comma, we provide a roadmap and feedback and clarity about the whole entire journey, and really help parents cut through the noise of basketball politics and raise confident and decisive young people.
Was there something that happened along the way in your personal journey that kind of opened your eyes to this?
I think it's a plethora of things. I was playing professionally overseas. I was playing here in the States as well. I was in camp with the Houston Rockets and playing in the NBA G League as well. And during my time overseas, I realized how much of a grind it was in order to achieve a goal. And I've already seen the mountaintop. I'm fortunate enough to have grown up with a father who wasn't just good, he was great, and he did it for an extended period of time. Played 16 years in the league. So for me, I'd already seen what it takes to achieve that and maintain it. And to be quite honest with you, I wasn't willing to make that sacrifice, which is okay. Mm-hmm. Everybody's journey is different. I still had a great career. I just think my own experiences and what I've learned about what's behind the curtain, I can now help people understand what it is they don't know that they don't know. And I feel like that's the biggest shift for a lot of families and a lot of players that we work with.
So, I mean, I played two sports in college, and the era that I grew up playing sports in is so different than what it is now. And the pressure that these athletes and parents are facing, and it's coming from all directions. But I am a parent as well, and my kids are early in sports. But I really, really, I am thankful that I have the background of what it takes to become a successful athlete. So I'm not getting caught up in all of the noise that's out there. So, and you talk a lot about development beyond just skill. So what do you think most athletes or families are getting wrong about development? And I think a lot of it has to do with all the pressure they're getting from too much volume and repetition and athletically speaking, where they need to focus on.
Yeah, I think what we do in particular that's unique to the other programs that I've seen, and it's very unique, we don't have competition in the space. And I think it's going to stay that way, to be quite honest with you, is because we truly help people cut through the noise of AAU politics. I was one of the best players in the state of Florida. I was first team All-State, had offers to Duke, Florida, Georgetown, pretty much any school I wanted to go to coming out of high school. So I was elite. And I didn't play AAU basketball. I was on I got invited to some camps.
Which is rare.
Which is rare.
Now, if you don't do that, if you don't play school, AAU, this, that, you are you feel like you're being left behind.
Exactly,
You're
exactly.
not going to make it.
I think there is a time and a place for AAU, and I see value in, if I would have taken that path, for sure, I would have seen the value. I think for me, I really understood, and I did learn this later, it's not necessarily about going to a volume of tournaments, it's about going to the right tournaments and being in the right position. And when you're there, being prepared to show out and do your thing.
Right.
Because parents just think, okay, as long as they're in the room, they're going to be good. It's like, no, not every room is a good room to be in. You need to be prepared so that when that opportunity comes, which it will, it comes for every single player, they're going to be ready for it. And I like thinking about it this way, and people can maybe point to the fact, oh, you have a famous last name, and you have attention, you're 6'9", and gifted athletically and all these things, and that brought your attention. It maybe brought people to games, but I still had to go out there and perform. And it's not easy to...
I think if anything, you had more pressure to perform.
Exactly.
Because if you didn't live up to that, then...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think everybody's story is different, and what I would caution families and parents who are on this journey to do is stop making excuses as to why it worked out for somebody and not for somebody else. I think the mindset and what we do within the program is really focus on mindset. This is why we can have a player come in who's averaging 5 to 6 points, and within a week he has 23 in the tournament, and then 31 in another game, and first 40-point game, and this and that and the third. College offers all this. It doesn't take that long, because once you start seeing things differently, you start doing things differently, right? And you focus so much on mindset, and that's what this conversation is about predominantly. And I think the parents who have a losing mentality are the ones that are, oh, this player got this benefit, and they're on this circuit, and they have this connection and that connection. I'm like, well, what's in your hand? Like, what do you have the ability to do right now? And we all have 24 hours in a day. You know, I take calls from my home office, and I have a Jordan jersey and a Kobe Bryant jersey behind me, and I point to those guys often, and I'm like, hey, they all had 24 hours in order to achieve what it is they achieved. And some people with less resources actually did, quote unquote, more. So what's your excuse at the end of the day? There's always a way in order to make something happen. And I think once we break that mental barrier, a lot of things in life become more clear, because we start working on the right things instead of the wrong things.
Well, and I think you kind of answered this a little bit, but when you are working with the kids at the highest levels, what do you think actually separates the athletes that make it from the ones that don't make it? Touched on it a little bit with that victim mentality, essentially.
100%. 100%. I think it is mindset predominantly. That's pretty much it, to be quite honest with you. I think about a guy like Kobe Bryant, and Kobe Bryant, believe it or not, he wasn't the most skilled athletically when I know he was in dunk contests and things like that, but most guys in the NBA can jump, right? Most guys in the NBA are athletic and can get the job done. Kobe wasn't necessarily the most gifted player athletically. He's not a LeBron James in terms of just a natural born talent physically, right? Still, Kobe is arguably, you know, in some people's book, the greatest of all time, or their favorite. And I think a lot of it had to do with, I'll point to this story. There was a game Kobe Bryant's rookie year. He came out of high school, a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and they're playing in the playoffs against the Utah Jazz. And nobody wanted to take a shot at the end of the game because, you know, high pressure stakes, and I believe they were losing at the time. Kobe goes out and shoots three-pointers in a row and airballs all three. And this is him as a rookie, and they're booing him on the away crowd, or excuse me, in the away arena. And he didn't let that affect him. He still put the shots up. And I think for a lot of people, they would crumble. Like my first 2 shots during college, I only got in my freshman year and sophomore year when I went to Georgetown. If I went to another school, it would be a different case. But at that school, that was the situation. And my first shot ever, my freshman year, was an air ball. And I think I maybe scored on the free throw line. But my second shot ever, my sophomore year, was also an air ball. And it was this long process of 4 years of not really playing. I picked up an injury and sat out for a season. And then in my first game, my 5th year, I had more points and had more minutes and rebounds, and filled up the stat sheet in a bigger way than I had in my whole entire career combined. So if you wait for your moment and you don't let your mind go down the wrong path, you keep believing in yourself and keep your goal in mind, I think great things can happen, especially when you're playing for a bigger purpose.
Yeah, I definitely also see a trend as travel sports and team, like where parents and players have options to switch teams and things like that. And now I know in college there's they can transfer a lot more easily. Like when I played college, it was difficult to transfer. So whatever commitment you made, you were basically staying there. So you had to find a way to make that work in the best way for you. You know, and I think there's a lot of kids that are taking the easy way out really quickly and transferring to find a better fit for themselves instead of kind of like stepping up to the plate and staying where they're at and kind of working through it. But it's a tricky balance because sometimes they're not good fit for your kid.
100%.
You do need to make a decision to move that kid somewhere else. Like, what kind of tips or perspective would you give on a parent who's like trying to find the right program or team for their kid to play on in those levels of like transitioning, like travel, trying to work up to then maybe getting a college or professional position?
I think you need somebody to walk with you. And this is why we exist as a business, as Coach Kama, to be a guide during this process of being able to navigate and cut through all the BS. Because I don't care what level you're at, you're still going to deal with it. Politics is unavoidable.
Oh, yeah.
Politics is unavoidable. I've been, you know, and I was in training camp with a team in the NBA, and I was, you know, I found out I was cut through Twitter, you know, things like that. You know, there's a lot of... It's
brutal out there.
It's brutal. It's a business. And I think a lot of times parents and players don't necessarily want to embrace the fact that this is a business, but parents are forking over tens of thousands of dollars per year, maybe every 6 months, in order to get their child in the best situation possible. But they want to shield them and protect them from certain things. You can't do that. You need to teach them about what it is they're up against to best prepare them, because there's going to come a time when the parents aren't able to guide them, and the players, influenced by their college coaches, to make certain decisions that are detrimental to their careers, you know, and you need a guide to walk with you, whether it be for a season or whether it be for extended amount of time, years. I'm only here today as a result of the amazing people that have been placed around me. I've had guides who were at the highest level. At the same time, they weren't perfect. You know, there are some people who were the best in the business. They fell short and they weren't able to necessarily teach what it is they knew actually how to do themselves. So I think you really have to have a guide and somebody to walk with you and help you navigate the process, so you don't have to deal with the same wounds that they did, and you can learn from their scars.
So what are some of the patterns that you see in families with the kids in athletics that are supporting success versus unintentionally holding their athletes back?
Yeah. There's something that we teach about in the program, and it has a lot to do with the difference between playing to win and playing not to lose. There's so many teams nowadays you can point to in a bunch of different sports. And the example I like to use is, you're familiar with teams who are up 20 going into the fourth quarter, and then they just lay an egg and just lose. The reason that happens is because they start playing defensively instead of playing aggressively. And they play to not lose instead of going out there and playing to win. They stop doing what it is that got them there in the first place, and they start, I guess, parking the bus in some ways. And I think a lot of families are like that as well. I'm big on language. I speak 7 languages myself, and I pick up on words a whole lot. And there are a lot of families and a lot of parents and players, parents specifically, who kind of speak death into their kids instead of life. And what I mean by that is they're really focused on what it is that they don't want to happen instead of what it is they do want to happen. It's like, I don't want my kid to do this. I don't want my kid to do that. And I ask them all the time, and we ask them within the program, I'm like, hey, like, what is it that you do want? Because if you know what you don't want, you can also figure out what you do want. And if you're actively moving towards a goal rather than moving away from something, you're going to end up in a positive place 9 times out of 10. And I think the most important thing, you're going to realize you're in control of a lot more than you give yourself credit for.
Well, there's neuroscience behind that too. Our brain wants to make what we tell it real. So if you keep telling it the negative stuff, we are going to find proof of that
100%,
in our environment. So to only keep the focus on the positive goal and things like that. But the other side of that too, I think that parents are coming from, is that they want to save their children from failure too. So a lot of rescuing probably happening too,
100%.
where it's like you have to let your kid fail.
100%. I tell
You have to.
the parents in our program, this is a quote I learned, I forgot who I learned it from, but I tell my parents in the program that you have to stop being the pillow that your kids hit before they hit the ground. You got to let them scrape their knee up. You got to let them hit the ground. You could be there to watch them and
hold space for them.
And hold space for them. At the same time, their life is their responsibility, and the sooner they learn that their life is their responsibility, nobody's coming to save them. Only people are coming to help them along the way, and not gonna let their BS slide. The further it can go, and I think the toughest thing across the board, what I've heard from parents in our program, the toughest thing for them is no longer being that pillow, is stepping away and letting their kid fail. The thing is, when it does happen, it's also the greatest reward that they get, because they're able to walk more freely and show up for them as a parent and a person. And I think a lot of parents, sometimes they can get lost in their role. And yes, you're mom and dad. At the same time, you're a human being first. You have your own life. You have your own goals, dreams, and visions. And yes, you do have to set some of that aside in order to be the best parent possible. I do believe that 110%. You can't be selfish. And there's a way to hold space for yourself and make sure you're not pouring from an empty cup. You're actually overflowing from your cup instead of running on E all the time.
Mm-hmm. So what role do stress, pressure, and identity play in performance for these athletes?
Yeah, I think of a lot of moments in life can be redeemed. I think every moment in life can be redeemed. My faith is a big part of my life, and I know for me, there have been situations I've been in that seemed like it was the end of the world, and I look back now, I'm like, oh wow, that was a stepping stone. I see how God used it in order to work for my good. So I think stress and high pressure moments, they're great. You can look at getting dunked on, or you're a volleyball player, so getting a ball spiked in your face is a really embarrassing moment, which it is. And you can also take a step back and ask yourself and watch the film, okay, what can I learn from this? What are 10 plus takeaways that I can take from this moment, and ways that I can redeem this and make it a positive? Because I don't care what it is in life, there's always a positive, and something good can come from something that seems negative.
Yeah, definitely. I also see a lot with identity and attaching their athletic performance as their identity. How do you help the players separate and become their own identity separate from this athlete, but still kind of embody this like hard work ethic and motivation to become a high level athlete, but not make that their identity?
Yeah, I think it can be tough. I think one of the toughest parts of my life has been the transition away from playing professionally. I think it's something that I still, I don't know if struggle with. I don't think struggle is the right word. Sometimes I find myself reminding myself of who I am, and realizing that basketball is a tool that I use. And for a long time, I felt as if I had to achieve things on the court in order to live a successful life. And you start to define success in different ways. And it's okay if you don't want to play professionally. I loved playing professionally, and there were some things I hated about playing professionally. What I realized through that is that I wanted to be able to use the game of basketball in a way that allowed me to teach people and help others really just grow and develop. And I'm not sure if I'm answering and hitting your question, hitting the nail on the head. I just think it takes time. You can't rush it. And as long as you are, I guess, overflowing rather than pouring out, you're able to continue to work on yourself and have the progress you make personally show up on the basketball court. I'm a big believer, and this is an athlete that, and we've spoken before about some of these things. Who you are on the court is who you are off the court.
Right.
You can't be two different people.
The basketball is the channel or an extension of who you are.
100%.
Essentially. Just like me being a physical therapist is an extension. That's just a channel I found to pass on who I am and share that with other people.
100%.
Right. So helping kids really funnel it into that rather than, because then if they don't have basketball, they still have that within themselves.
Exactly.
And they just find a new channel for that. but it doesn't break them when they're
Mm-hmm.
older and maybe they don't have that anymore.
Exactly. And I think this mindset of detachment in such a way where it's like, hey, this is something I do, it's something I get to do. I'm fortunate to do it. At the same time, like nothing is mine at the end of the day. Like this could be taken away from me, whether it be injury or illness, God forbid, or just whatever it is, or you just want to walk away from the game. Basketball isn't something that has made me. It's a part of me, and there's never been a day in my life where I haven't been associated with a game. I don't care where I go in the world. There's always going to be somebody who looks at me and they're like, hey, like, did you play or do you play? So I
People
can't.
ask me every day too.
No, I'm sure.
Did not play basketball.
Yeah,
but
so you can't escape. I tell them I ride horses.
I say gymnastics.
I'm a jockey or Quidditch. I play Quidditch or something like that. But no, it's something that I love. It's something that I enjoy, and I'm fortunate to do it. And I think a lot of things in life are caught, not just taught. So what I hope to give to my players is my presence, and I want them to see how I live and operate, and hopefully they can take a lot away from me, even when I don't have the ability to articulate what it is that I'm teaching, if that makes sense.
It's perfect. This is perfect transition for how we're going to go into the FeelWell standards.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we go through a rapid round of questions.
Mm-hmm.
So you can show us how you live and perform as a standard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to shoot these off to you, and you're going to answer with whatever comes up first.
Sure.
Okay. Calm or intensity?
Calm.
Analyze or act?
Act.
Visibility or privacy?
Ooh, both.
Legacy or lifestyle?
They're intertwined as well. It's both.
Who you are or who you're becoming?
Who I am.
Good. Very good. Thank you.
No, my pleasure.